Let me ask you, if I could get you $1,000 for your used car, you give me a check for $4,000, making your monthly payments $460 per month, right? Come on. What's so funny? The price is too much. Okay, let's take the trade. If I could get them to give you $1,100 for the trade, we got the deal, right? I'm gonna go real low on the down. 3,900. No. Okay. 38. 37.50. Okay, great. Sign here. I'm not saying I can do this, but I like you, so I'm gonna give it a shot. By the way, have you considered leasing? Okay, boss, I gotta give me at least 800 for the trade, 37.50 down, 450 months. Good job. You are one sick individual. See? That is control. That is total control. You have to be fearless. If this guy ever took the time to add up the numbers and find out he's paying almost twice the sticker price. And he's fucking thrilled. I gotta go. Call me back. Mr. Garcia, come on. Hi. How are you? Can I help you with something, sir? We went to our credit union. They explained to me that if I buy this car, I cannot afford to feed my family. Please, Mr. Drucker, can we get it back? Mr. DeLuca, please. Could you please take it back? Mrs. Garcia, I'm sorry I don't think I can help. Let me see what I can do. Hey, Reggie. These people came in yesterday? And I want to help them out. I mean, they really can't afford this. We overdid it. See, the car's going to be in repo anyway if they go bankrupt, so. You shouldn't cut Mr. Slack. Who's you? Is this your area? Yes, sir. You're an owner. Get the fuck out of here. Sorry, Mr. Garcia. I really tried. I'm so sorry.
Boy, if looks could kill.
What? I can't handle this shit anymore. Ricky's right. We're a bunch of fucking whores. A bunch of uneducated, arrogant, goddamn fucking whores. How can you blame these poor bastards? Every single person who walks through this place has been raped by a car salesman. And they know beyond a shadow of a doubt it's going to happen again. You want to know why I'm here? I'm here because I tried to make something in my life, and I failed. But at least I gave it a shot. Oh yeah, you weren't selling cars? You're either washing them or stealing them. Shamim, you think you're better than everybody else?
Check
Let me tell you
something.
something. The cars you're selling are worth more than the hometown you grew up. See, these people, they don't earn their money by fucking other people out of it. And all they want to do is put a little food on the table for their children. Maybe send them to a decent school or something. Then we come along and take them for everything we can. And you know what's worse? We're be shown just a little bit of respect. Let's not insult him any more than we have to. I think the green bean ain't no green bean no more. Are we taking advantage of people? Let us take a look. Your job is to sell a car for as much as you can. The customer's job is to buy the car for as little as possible. Why should you feel guilty about being better at your job than somebody else is at theirs? Now, if I went with a customer to get a deal on the car, and I told him we were going to fuck the salesman, he would love it. If he makes a good deal, he takes money out of your pocket. If you make a good deal, you take money out of his. What's the difference? Now, if somebody buys a car and he leaves thinking he got screwed, then he is an idiot. The buyer has all the control. He can get up and leave at any time and does not own that car until he drives it off the lot. Not when he signs the papers. He does not own that car until he takes delivery. So who has the control? If he got fucked, he fucked himself. It's that simple. Be proud of what you do. Be the best. And never, never apologize for it. Well, just like back to the
All right. All right. Well, welcome to Auto Hub. I didn't plan this red title. Basically, we're looking for 3 books on used cars. Max Saban, Effective Car Dealer, How to Buy a Used Car from Dr. Zeke, and The New Ways of Selling New and Used Cars Online. So those are a few books you might want to check out if you're interested in getting better in the used car side and you have some time to do some reading. So Jeff and I welcome all our great guests and all our guest speakers to talk about used cars from a dealer perspective. This is part 2 of a series. Last week's show we did on wholesale perspective. So if you didn't check it out, you can check it out on our website or on YouTube. We had some great guests talking about the wholesaler side. Have to do a disclaimer. So we're not responsible for anything people say on the show. We're just hosting the show. Their opinions are theirs alone, and this disclaimer is on our website if you're curious. Few housekeeping items. The Auto Hub show is for the guests, not the host. It's your show, not ours. Please mute and unmute yourselves. You can also click raise your hand if you have a question. I'll be monitoring the chat box, and I'll be happy to pose that question to the speakers. There's a wealth of knowledge and experience on the call, so let's share ideas and respect each other's time. All Auto Hub participants have agreed to be open to sharing ideas and are okay with others using those ideas. Absolutely no selling, please. We have a show on Fridays for that. Auto Hub is an open discussion with a focus on improving business. We value everyone's input, speak up and bring value. Don't be afraid to brainstorm ideas and ask great questions. Be respectful of everyone's time. After all, we're all busy professionals. Please do your best to stay on topic on the call. Don't forget to challenge our speakers and help them bring value on the show. So Jeff, maybe you can talk a little bit about VendorSpeak.
Perfect. Again, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming. VendorSpeak is something we do on a special show on Fridays. And, you know, our speakers today generally aren't selling anything but to find customers that are looking to buy their fantastic automobiles. But on Fridays is when we do many people who are vendors to the automotive industry. And they can actually have a day to reach out to everybody. It'll be their show. I host it and moderate the chat, etc. And it's every Friday. This week we've got 3 more guests because, of course, we're running out of Fridays in September already, and some great things there. One of them is our friend Barry Jordan, who has joined us today, and it's a great way to reach out.
And who's on Friday this week?
On Friday, we have a lady named, oh my gosh, I just did
Amanda Troop. So she's
thank you very much.
About women in cars. She's a technician. She was a speaker on the show. She's trained as a technician, but also helps dealers appeal to more women in the service drive and in the sales side. Just so you know. Very,
It'll
very
be-
nice young lady. Second here. Nice.
It's very nice having lady technicians.
Exactly. There's not that many. She said, I think when she graduated, there were 2 women in the program, and she's the only one who made it. The other one bailed. So it's kind of interesting. So thanks to everybody on the speaker side. We have Rob Ruth from Bob Ruth Ford. I'm assuming Bob Ruth's your dad, right, Rob?
Yes. Yes.
Yep. Is he still with us, or?
No, we lost him a couple years ago.
Sorry to hear that. Asit Premji from Okotoks Honda, Dave Jackson from Country Chrysler, and Ted Hamlin, who's currently, I believe, running a Hyundai store. So I'm going to switch to speakers right now. So I'm just going to stop sharing so we get a bigger picture. Just give me 1 sec here. 1 sec.
And I have to say, Rob, you think Dilberg, Pennsylvania's got a funny name? Well, Okotoks and High River aren't bad, you know.
So I'm going to start by introducing Rob. If you're not familiar, owns a Ford store, quite a successful Ford store. Obviously was challenged during the early days of COVID, and actually did a lot of great work to help other dealers as well as himself in Pennsylvania get back in the game. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I've been a dealer for 17 years now. I was my father bought the store 37 years ago. I grew up in the store, literally. There was an apartment above the dealership when he bought it in 83. So, I mean, my parents were split up, but him and I lived here in the apartment for 6 years. So I grew up amongst salespeople and technicians, and, you know, I started working here at a very young age. I mean, just odd jobs, you know, kind of worked my way through, started in recon. I've been a sales rep. I've been in the finance department. I've been a sales manager. I've been the general manager. I filled in as the service manager, the parts manager. I mean, pretty much my whole life has been the automotive business. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
Question for you: with your dealership being located between 2 major cities, not far from New York, what were the challenges? What do you think the challenges are in terms of used cars these days?
Well, I mean, that's kind of our specialty. I mean, we're a Ford dealership. There's a lot of Ford dealerships, and we're in a small town. You kind of, you know, when you say New York, I mean, Dillsburg, Pennsylvania is not New York. We're in a town of about 2,500 people.
Okay.
But used cars are a thing. We sell about 300 used cars per month.
Okay.
Well, maybe 50 new cars at the current pace. The challenges with used cars, I mean, it's always been, you know, acquiring them, getting into the store, reconditioning them, marketing them. I mean, I think it's more a discipline and just putting things in practice than it is, you know, just the normal challenges.
And do you find that you can find enough used cars? Are you buying cars more from individual owners? Are you buying them more at certain sources? Are there any tips you can share there?
Well, I mean, I think that the best way to get used cars is from your door. So the more trades, the more that you can purchase off the street. I mean, that is, you know, 100% the best way to acquire them. But I mean, we buy a lot of cars at the auction as well. You know, and lately in the last few months, you know, the supply has been relative, but the demand has been very high. So the pricing has been extremely high from a wholesale perspective. And it's been a challenge. But, you know, I think, you know, with the right processes and procedures, I mean, you know, we've been pretty strong with it.
Fantastic. There is an article that Jeff shared this morning that's in the chat box, and I think it's from New York City area. Is that correct, Jeff?
New York Times.
Yeah. So if you're curious about used cars, specifically in the U.S. market, check out that link. He posted on LinkedIn as well. And Jeff, you have any questions for?
Well, you know, it's very funny, Rob. You know, this article really brought this to a head today. And there's dealers everywhere, and we're pretty lucky because we're getting dealers from all over Canada, the States, and everybody's saying that used business has just gone nuts, and actually business overall. So considering all that, how has this affected your original business plan pre-COVID?
our business plan hasn't changed. I mean, I'm passionate about used cars. I love the used car business because I think it puts the dealership in a more of a control position versus, the manufacturer and new cars and incentives, et cetera. Our business model has always been to grow that segment of our company, because it helps our service department, it helps our recondition or parts department. It just feeds the whole business as a whole.
Well, I have to tell you too, one thing, when you get some Canadian people on board, and Okotoks and High River are similar size to Dilberg, but maybe a little bit bigger. But when they hear numbers of 300 used cars a month in a store of 2,500 people, we just kind of go, wow. Yeah, that's a much different.
I was actually going to ask on that note, what are your expectations of your team? What do they need to do every day to get to those numbers? Because those are big numbers for that size of a community. I think we can all agree on that. But what do you like? Is there an expectation of your team needs to make this many phone calls to this many people who were in your store last month, last week? And I'm trying to feed the conversation here, but what are your expectations of your floor team?
So a big change, and I think it's not just for us, but I mean, I think the industry has changed considerably. The consumer behavior has changed, where it used to be, we would get a ton of lot traffic, and now that traffic has changed from, the lot to, now we track internet leads, phone calls. That's really our traffic. So, pre-COVID, I mean, we were really big proponents of building that business development center and, coming up with the right metrics and, how many phone calls, when do we, contact the customers. So yes, we do have high standards for, especially that position and what we do that, creates that sale down the line. We kind of streamline the process a little bit more.
And from a reconditioning point of view, I mean, obviously you sell a lot of used cars. Do you have any tips on saving money on reconditioning?
I mean, I look at if one part of the process breaks down, it all breaks down.
Right.
So, for me, I try to make sure that we have controls in place on whether it's acquisition or reconditioning or marketing, that we have good leadership in all those positions that really monitor that and understand that, hey, this is your responsibility and this is how you can make an impact to the company. And then it just, it just flows right through, and you got to pay attention. You got to be disciplined. It's not rocket science, but it is hard.
Yeah. Fantastic.
On the reconditioning part, do you have expectations that every vehicle comes out of the back in a certain condition, or are they all reconditioned on a custom basis based on a person's opinion, whether that be the used car manager, reconditioning manager, whatever that case may be? Or is it just, here's our status, here's our standards, that every vehicle will come out on this level?
We kind of break the car down to different segments. I mean, you have your late model car with, lower miles. I mean, that particular car, we have like set standards, say do this, and we try to feed those into, to get that volume. But then when it goes to a, let's say it's a trade-in with a little bit higher miles, a little bit older, we'll take a little bit more time and make sure that it, meets the standards that we would want. And we do have people in place that the company can trust that will make those decisions.
And do you deal with a lot of non-prime customers? Do you stock a lot of older model cars for that market?
We used to, and for a long time we had something called our good luck lot, which was an as-is piece. Okay. Right. And it was, it helped us grow, but there's brain damage associated with that car. So, we've really moved past it, especially after COVID. I just want to move fast. I think there's a lot of opportunities right now, and that car slows you down, and not having that car has helped us eliminate some problems that we needed to get past.
And I have one question from the audience. What's your average days in recon, and how do you track that?
So we use Rapid Recon. So
okay.
I don't know if I mean, that's the communication with tool we use for inventory.
Okay.
We track from the time of acquisition to the time that it's frontline ready, and we're about 7 days right now on that. And there's been a holdup in transportation on a lot of vehicles, so logistically, just getting cars to the store, we've seen a kind of a significant increase on how long it takes to get a car to the dealership.
Right.
But from the time of acquisition to the time that it's actually front line ready, we're running about seven days right now. But from the time that we actually have the car here till the time it's front line, we're 3 to 4 days consistently.
Cool. Well, thanks for all that. Really appreciate it. And is there any other questions from the audience?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
Rob, just because you mentioned that you prefer to have trade-in and instead of going through auction, who appraises your car? Is it the new car manager or the used car manager? And the reason I'm asking that question, because I found sometimes asking used car manager to appraise your car, sometimes you lose a lot of trade-in because used car manager look at maybe lowball the trade, and there is lots of game they play. So I wonder who appraises your car.
So that's a good question. And one thing that we don't do here is have a new car manager or a used car manager. So we train, all of our managers kind of the same. They're just sales managers, and we try not to lowball trades. Put the money in the car, and make sure getting inventory. They all understand the struggle of getting inventory. So put the money in the car and then work from there.
Great answer.
One other question, if you don't mind, is how do you prioritize the work through the back shop?
Time. It's more about time. I mean, we really, we've developed compensation plans to those, people that are watching that reconditioning department and getting those cars through. And they're on the clock every day, so it's really about speed for us. I mean, efficiency is everything. If we can save a day or two, take it from 7 days down to 6, and you multiply that out times our volume, it's a big number.
It seems that the word that keeps coming up in my mind is you have a culture in your store around used cars and efficiencies.
Absolutely.
Thanks for that. We got to move on the sensitivity of time, so we're going to move on with Asif Premji. He manages Okotoks Honda in the big town of Okotoks, Alberta. Known Asif for a while through LinkedIn, and maybe you can say a few words about yourself, Asif.
Sure. Very similar to Rob, actually. I joined the industry. I've been in the company for about 17 years now. I was graced to go for my academic pursuits for automotive, and Dad took over the store. He bought the store in High River in 1992, and I grew up very similar to Rob in the automotive industry. Everyone that I knew was in the automotive industry, and that was the line that I took. And so after I finished my MBA out in the US, I came back, and I was, you have a degree and you think you're going to be starting up, right, selling cars. And I woke up in the morning wearing a suit. My dad goes, go back downstairs, put on a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. And I questioned him. He goes, you have no choice but to question me. Put on a t-shirt and shorts. We went to the dealership, and I started rock bottom from just like Rob. So it was in detail, all the way to sales, to finance, to service, to parts, sales manager. And
So
I went
didn't move right into vice president then.
Yes, somewhat. Right to the top. And so, I grew up with my dad. My dad mentored me, he led me, and he trained me. And now I've been running the store for about a good 10 to 15 years now.
Congratulations. How important is used car merchandising at this point when there's a high demand and a shortage of inventory? Is it worth spending a little more to bring it close to new car spec, in your opinion?
Well, I think, at our dealership, I've had a very unique knack for making the used cars look good. I hate having used cars on the lot that don't seem like a new car. So I've instructed my used car manager and my service manager, listen, if you have to spend a little bit more money just to make that used car look good, you have a higher chance of a customer coming in and liking it more. I mean, and it goes down to everything from how the interior of the vehicle is, how the exterior of the car is. I mean, you have a large dent and you can say it's fine, it's part of a used car, but someone coming in, they're going to look at it. So if you're going to look at yourself and you're going to look at your car and it doesn't match your requirement or expectations, you're going to have someone come in and have the same type of expectation. So if you can minimize it and mitigate it from the very beginning, spend a little bit more to make the car look good, then you have a higher chance of someone coming in and liking the car as well.
So,
How do you? Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna ask you, what do you see the state of the used car market in 6 months to 1 year? I know we're in a very weird thing. We all been hit with something different, but where do you see it's going to be in that period of time and compared to new?
Well, I think Barry will attest to this. The new car side is hitting hard, and so my last VR, I had only 22 cars to order, and so when you have 22 cars to order 3 months out, you have a significant problem because there's no way you can control it. And so 22 cars, you can't even rely on dealer trades. So our focus, the moment 2020 started, we significantly focused on used cars and the acquisition of used cars. Now in Okotoks, we've been lucky. Our lease pen is about 48%. So our trade-ins coming through at the dealership is very high, from lease penetration to our normal customers. So we're lucky to get a lot of trade-ins coming in. But if I look at 6 months to a year out and the decline of new cars, I think your used car market's going to be your new car market. And I think, like Rob said, it's going to be very interesting of how you get your cars. Now here, we don't deal with a lot of wholesalers because they're going to be asking retail money for it. So if there's a way I can get the cars in from service, there's a ways I can get in perhaps from auction, and then our trade-ins, that's where we focus more on, and Kijiji naturally.
It sounds like that actually pre-COVID, you were looking at a shortage of new cars.
Mm-hmm. We saw it at the end of 2019. We started to see like our RSO was lower, our VR count was getting lower. The sheer amount of like volume that we were getting for inventory was very difficult. And so when you're talking about your big ticket items like Civics and you're averaging maybe 50 on the lot, and now you're starting to run 20 on the lot, you see a problem. And so you got to adapt really well and take a look at how used cars will be perhaps the lifeline of the store. And just like Rob said, it feeds every department in the dealership. So that's right now our focus is growing our used car side.
And how do you see Carvana, Car Amazon, Vroom, and others threaten your franchise used car operation? Like, how do you see that? I mean, I think there's another one out of Alberta called, I don't know, it's another one that's doing used cars. How do you see that as a threat?
I don't particularly see it as a threat. I see it as an opportunity to learn what they're doing. So, Carvana and Carmazon, which are big companies who are going down the route of a vending machine style or buy online style and get it delivered to your house. I get it. I like the idea. I think it's a good business model to have. I just don't think Canada is there yet. And so I don't see those type of companies as a threat. I see it as an opportunity how we can build our own used car market to cater to customers who would like to buy a new car but perhaps can't afford it, and then sprinkle a little bit of that digital marketing and digital advertising onto it. Because in Canada, especially, I don't know if Dave will concur, but here the touch and feel and coming out to the dealership and touching and driving the car is still very prominent. And for the first 2 months of COVID, yeah, everyone was sensitive to it. But after that, offering to take a car to a customer's home was relatively successful. But we had customers wanting to come back to the dealership to test drive the car. They wanted the experience.
So you haven't seen a lack of traffic as much as you thought might happen? Is that what you're saying?
We've seen the lack of traffic. I think that's normal to say. But I think the traffic that we have is our buyers are a lot more smarter, and they have a lot more choices online. And when you take a look at Okotoks and High River, which is only about 10 minutes away from this, Calgary, it's not very far. And you have all the dealerships in Calgary, and when in the Honda world, you can have at least maybe 30 Civics within the span of 250 kilometers. So naturally, it comes down to obviously perhaps price and recon and the pictures online. But I think it also comes down to the level of experience that you give to the customer. And that's, I think, where we shine as a dealership.
So you've trained your team and really enhanced their skills on customer experience to really push that growth?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I understand price is price. I understand payments are payments. Everyone wants a good deal. I don't disagree with it. And you're going to do whatever it takes to get a deal. But if you can nail your customer experience and make sure they're taken care of, figure out what they want and how to overcome those objections, then you're giving it an experience that you can't get anywhere else. That's my personal opinion.
Any questions from the audience? Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Jeff, no questions about used cars?
Well, because everybody's giving so much information right now. They don't need it. They're answering everything.
So everyone knows Jeff is a 30-year used car guy, so he's versed in this area.
So listen, let me tell you, it's got no accents. But Asif, actually, I want to, having a Honda background too, a little bit. Your Honda up here is very lucky because you got an extremely strong lease portfolio. And is that still a big help? And are you reaching out to people earlier than you would have been to get out of their leases and get into something new? Well, you don't have any new cars.
That's probably one of my most critical points from the new car side is I personally manage our lease portfolio. And so I look at my lease portfolio every single day and we'll call out maybe 3 years out, 2 years out. And I'm very big on it. So right now I'm lucky to have a 48% pen in the market. And so if I take a look at my lease portfolio, and the tough part is this whole negative equity situation, because if you take a customer 3 years out of their 4-year lease or 5-year lease, naturally you're going to have some negative equity involved, right? But we've been lucky where we're able to get customers 2 years out right at wash period, and we get a lot of our trade-ins that way. And right now specifically, we've probably done about maybe 10 buy-ins from our lease portfolio, just because either the customer could not afford their car, or they're willing to give it back to Honda Canada, or simply they didn't like it anymore and they just don't need the car. And so we bought the vehicles in as trades, and we've been lucky with them.
Somebody doesn't like a Honda?
Yeah, I guess no one does.
Or at least not the old one. They want another one, right?
You know what? At the end of the day, I think that year of 2013 up is the hot spot. 2013 to 2017 is a hot spot right now.
And do you feel people are changing vehicles to larger or smaller vehicles? Are you able to convert them into used car customers? I mean, what are you seeing?
We've been able to convert some of our lease customers or finance portfolio. I would probably say it's close to about a 70-30, 70 new, 30 used. And the only reason why the percentage has gone up is just because of the fact that the mentality is there that I don't want to spend a $40,000 car on a CRV. If I can pick up a CRV for $20,000 and finance for the next 5 years and I can own it, I love it. But from a year standpoint, I mean, we're lucky. I think we're really lucky to have that inventory come in, and we more often than not, if it's a lease to lease, that's the way it usually goes.
And has the manufacturer supported you? Obviously not with inventory, but have they supported you in any way to help you sell certified pre-owned cars, or on new cars, or what's Honda doing?
Well, I think Honda's kept their integrity and their loyalty to loyalty very strong over the past 5 years. So their certified program hasn't changed dramatically over the past 5 years, and Barry will probably remember this. So, I mean, anyone that comes in, sure, the certified program is nice to see and nice to hear, but our certified penetration is not as high as some other dealerships are. Again, because I'd rather get my money from a bank finance contract than HFS. But from the new car side, they went away from dollars as incentives and they put focus purely on loyalty and rate reduction. And ever since COVID happened, they took the dollars out and they said, let's give a loyalty on rates to customers. And that's the way they did. And it's worked out well, other than this month, unfortunately.
Any other questions from anybody?
I have a question. On the certified front, are you seeing that something that you can grow, or do you see? Because I think you and I share the same opinion on that. Is that something you might grow in the future, or is it just something you're going to say, the bank is where I want to go, and I'm trying to say all the right words here, Acid? So,
Yeah, I know. I get it. I think
yeah.
the way I look at it from a year to 2 years to 3 years out, if Honda's Honda and I see the past 15 years and what they've done, I would be a fool to think that certified program is not going to be enhanced and make it more lucrative to the customers. I'm not a fool that that's going to happen. But I think that as a dealer, you have to have a very strong fine line in where you sustain and make your manufacturer happy. And so that they're okay with the numbers that you push out. But at the end of the day, they don't subsidize the dealership. They don't invest in it, and so you got to make your money the way you make your money. If that was a question politically.
Was there any other questions? Go ahead.
Yes, Ian, I have a question.
Yeah.
Terrific.
So, Asif, I have a question for you. Are you using any digital platform for your dealership? And if you are, do you see any change on sales for the used cars?
I mean, do you have a definition of what digital platform you refer to other than website, Auto Trader, Kijiji?
No, I mean like people can buy the car online.
Oh, okay. So I mean, yeah, our website provider, which is Dealer Inspire, told us about online buying last year. So Dealer Inspire has something called My Shopper Online. We implemented that a year ago. I think I can count maybe on two hands that we've had maybe 5 to 7 leads that have come in where we've gotten a deposit of $500 and the transaction has actually happened. But the mentality of having the customer buy the car online, we see more leads from I want to reserve this car, I want to test drive the car, from actually going through the process and putting a deposit in a credit card online.
So do you feel that that's a good investment? Do you feel that it's getting you the ROI you want? Or?
Truthfully, I don't think so. I think the website needs to have it just because of the fact that I got to be in the same situation as everyone else. And but my mentality sways every month, whether online shop or buying online is where we're at now versus where we will be in a year from now. And perhaps that mentality is going to have to change, where it's not buy a car online, but have the availability of doing it. But let's focus more on getting you into the store, giving you what you're asking for online. So,
I mean, we are going to be doing a show, just so you know. I'm going to be holding all these digital retail providers to task and saying, listen, where's the ROI, guys?
Sure.
Like, I know you want us to give you a bunch of money, but like, what's in it for us? So we'll see.
Dealer Inspire charges, I don't know if it's okay, but Dealer Inspire charges close to about $1,200 a month for this platform for online shopper. And so if you do the numbers on how much you can make per lead, that's quite a hefty bill. And you know, you got to sell a lot of cars through my online shopper to consider that $1,200 investment a month. And if it's not there, then you got to take a look at a different avenue. But the different avenues are pretty much difficult right now, so it's kind of a crapshoot.
Yeah, I've heard numbers anywhere from $1,000 a month to $3,000 a month. So that seems like a lot of money if it doesn't deliver the ROI. But we'll ask them those questions. We'll hold them on, and we'll see what they have to say.
Well,
all right, so is Ted on the call, or Jeff?
No, I haven't seen Ted. So
he was having technical difficulties, so we may have to move on. But go ahead.
I'm watching Dave here, and he's chomping at the bit, and he's
I'm not.
Screen, and he's rubbing his hands. He's going, "Let me share my knowledge." So we'll move on here. So our next guest is Dave Jackson, who's the general manager, dealer principal, the guy from Country Chrysler in another sprawling metropolis of High River, Alberta, which is about 25 miles south of Calgary, which is a sprawling metropolis. I've known Dave for a long time. Didn't meet him through LinkedIn. I think I met him at an auction, a Chrysler auction, and for some reason we seem to bump into each other all over the country. Dave loved to travel and auto remarketing conferences and stuff. So Dave, tell us a little bit more, and welcome to the show. Thank you for attending.
Well, thanks for having me. I've pretty much been in the car business my entire life. When I was young, my dad ran a car plant in southern Ontario. when I was a kid, going to high school, I worked in a garage. I drove a tow truck. We sold a few used cars there. I was always dabbling in the wholesale, the retail. I worked in Ontario at a few stores. I came to Calgary in 1990. Worked for the Wood Group. I worked at Tower, and then I came to High River in 1995. And at that time, we decided that we were going to become a used car store, and we really put the focus on used cars. And we used to have a big, not a big, but a decent lease portfolio. We used to get lease returns. We used to do quite well with that. And of course, with FCA Chrysler, we've kind of lost our leasing ability. Well, we still have it, but it's nowhere near like what the others have. So we're kind of subject to buying all of our vehicles either through auction, through customer, through trade. We don't have a lease portfolio to fall back on, so it is tougher to find used vehicles. I think that one thing I've found through the years is this business is very cyclical. We seem to do the same things over and over and over again, maybe at different spots and maybe a little different, but it's the same concept. When I get in the business, everybody was in the Auto Trader or the Penny Saver looking for vehicles. Now they're online. When I was a kid, I was terrible at cold calling. I absolutely hated it. So I used to go to Kelly's Services and hire a girl, and she used to come in on Wednesdays, and I used to give her the Auto Trader to call customers to try and get vehicles in and stuff. We kind of still do that, except it's digital now. We've got everybody trying to sell us this new concept, but really it's still the same concept all along. We buy vehicles, we sell vehicles, and I yes, there's a lot of differences, but I still think, we talk about the customers not coming on the lot anymore. They are coming on the lot, but it's our digital lot, and they're not coming on and talking to a salesman. No, but they're looking for those vehicles. We have lots of people that come from north of Calgary, and they drive past 27, 30 dealerships to get to us. And I think a lot of it's got to do with pricing and marketing and that kind of stuff. But,
I'll never forget you telling me a story back in the good old days when the oil patch was so busy, how you used to have people driving to the airport. And for those of you that don't know, the airport's got to be 50 miles from you, and picking people up that flew down from up north to buy a truck.
Yeah. Hey, we picked a guy up from Thunder Bay last week. He came in and bought a truck. We've got another guy coming in from Montreal. I don't understand, but we'll take him.
So what's the reason those customers are giving to that?
Well, that's on new vehicle, and we seem to have a little anomaly. We had a couple of trucks that nobody else had. So,
okay.
I'm not going to take any credit for anything there. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut.
So are you concerned that another COVID wave could affect the used car market?
Absolutely. I think if you look at the markets and the market reports and the auction averages, when COVID first hit, the bottom fell out and the prices were fantastic, and a lot of people were in scare mode. I know a lot of guys are saying, "Oh, sell your inventory." I was doing the opposite. I was buying, and I've noticed the prices creeping up, and now they're starting to kind of plateau. And I think you better have a pretty good exit strategy on anything you're buying right now, because I think we get another wave of this. I think the prices could drop, and I think you could be a little offside on some of your higher end inventory. A $20,000 car, how much can you be upside down? A couple of grand. But you start getting into $40,000 and $50,000 stuff, you can be upside $5,000, $10,000 real quick on that stuff if you don't have an exit strategy to get rid of it. So, yeah, I think coming into the fall here, I think we want to be a little cautious of what we're stepping out on, because for us, we're trying to buy stuff that we're not familiar with, because we need, quite frankly, we just don't have enough supply in the Chrysler world. So, we're sticking our toe in the water where maybe we shouldn't be swimming.
How successful have you been with trucks? Because of course that market's become very, very hot, especially going south.
That market's insane going south. Sorry, I missed your question, Jeff.
Just you know, you're dealing with getting inventory, and you said you're looking at some other product, so you're switching away from the trucks because you're in a very heavy truck market.
Yeah, we are. I mean, you know, we've and the problem too in Calgary, we had a major hailstorm, as we're all aware, and a lot of the vehicles running through the Calgary market are hail damaged. So I'm buying stuff out of Toronto, I'm buying stuff from Vancouver, I'm buying stuff from Saskatoon. I'm trying to, but of course, transport's the issue, the communication. But as I said before, everything's cyclical. So you go back to the old days, and you talk about us meeting at auctions and stuff. One thing that I've always tried to do is network and know people, and you sort of dig back to your old days of the social networking and rely on the people you know and the people that you've dealt with, the people you trust, and that kind of helps a lot, you know. Like you know, I mean, if you're having a problem, I had a truckload of vehicles in Toronto, they couldn't find them, and then it just went on and on and on, and they had no batteries, and the batteries were back ordered, and it just became a big gong show, for lack of a better word. And you know what? Knowing this guy, calling this networking, your LinkedIn's, your different things, that's what helps you. You know, the digital guys won't help you on that, and neither will any of your CRMs.
Well, yeah, that's for sure. Actually, you need a CRM for wholesale.
I was just going to ask you a quick question, Dave. Have your expectations on your days of turn changed as we went through this? Like, are you watching that pretty close now? Have you changed your expectations?
I think our days of turn really right now. I mean, anybody that has an inventory problem now had an inventory disaster 5 months ago. There should be no reason in the world to have anything that's older. You should have this stuff should be turning. I don't think it's a problem now, but I think it could be in the very, very near future. So, you know, like I said, I truly believe I want an exit strategy on a lot of this stuff, whether it be through wholesalers or brokers or, you know, I'd like a number I can take to the bank before I go spend that money. And the other side of the story too, you know, you get a number you can take to the bank, as I call it. You have to remember too, when that guy takes that vehicle to the auction, he's got a $500 sell fee. You've got a $500 sell fee. There's a buy fee. There's $1,000 in there that we can use as a buffer or whatever without going too crazy. But I do think you can be caught offside if you have 100 vehicles and you're $5,000 offside. You might have a problem here.
How do you feel about buying in the digital market? Are you experiencing any new challenges that are affecting how and when you buy?
Well, one thing in the Chrysler world is we are really stuck with rental cars, ex-rental cars, and I think one of the keys to the rental car is to take a smaller margin and take your back end money and try to get the trades off of it that way. So I think you have to do a better job digitally. I think you have to be on top of the pricing. If you're not on page one of the Auto Trader in your pricing, you're not in the Auto Trader. If you're not in page one of CarGurus or Kijiji, you're just not there. You're just not going to get noticed. Maybe page two, but you know. And I think the public is used to these ads on Auto Trader. You know, the preferred and the optimum ad. They skip right through that. I always ask people when they come in, how do they search for a vehicle? I talk to kids. I talk to, you know, I've got 2 kids, and my daughter's 35, my son's 33. Talk to them and their friends, and how do they buy a car? How do they look for a car? It's always a fun exercise to ask somebody how they would search for a car and just watch the whole process. How we think they do it and how they really do it, there's a big, big difference.
So you feel the customer journey and how they move from online to in store has changed quite a bit over the last.
Absolutely. You know, we talk about Carvana and we talk about these guys. They're just showing us how to do it. They've developed a game plan. You know, we're all learning how to do it. I mean, what does Carvana have that we don't have? You know, really, at the end of the day, I mean, we can do the digital. We can market. We can do all what they're doing.
So has that impacted how you train your guys on how to do that?
Absolutely. I think the training is a big thing, but I also think the follow up, like something I do is I send out an email to every single customer every email inquiry. After 12 days, I sent an email out saying, you inquired about this vehicle. Was there something we missed? Was there something in the trade value? Was there something in the financing? Was there something about the vehicle that perhaps I can get involved? I can help you out with. And it's interesting the responses you get back. Some people send you back I'm just not in the market right now, or some people, I've had the comments, I'm just too cheap, and but
I'm just
you do get honest feedback, because I send out this email that's really it's I'm not soliciting them, but I am.
Yeah.
And I get some good response from it. It's interesting too. Nobody got back to me. Oh, interesting.
Well, it's very funny you mentioned that, because I recently just went through a retail experience myself as I'm talking to different dealers or people for the show and guests. I was online on the phone with a fella that's a friend of mine at a dealership, and I opened up his webpage, and he's part of a large group. And as I'm talking to him, I'm scanning through his used cars, and it switches over to the corporate cars, and there's hundreds. And there was one car there. I ticked on an interest on the car, and then another one at different dealerships. And I got autoresponders immediately, boom. After that, nothing.
Yeah.
So it's like you said.
Well, I had that same kind of experience. I currently drive a Hyundai product, and I was getting it serviced, so I wanted to look at another Hyundai. So I went through the Hyundai Canada site, which was actually a pretty good experience. But then when it got to the dealership level, it kind of went off a cliff. So it was kind of interesting that, like the manufacturer actually did something, in my opinion, kind of right, but the dealership didn't have a process that carried that ball forward.
I think a lot of times too, in the manufacturer's site, you can go in and you can build your vehicle, but nobody has that vehicle.
Yes.
I know in the Chrysler, there's just too many different combinations of vehicle and stuff you can have. You build the perfect vehicle, but nobody's got it. And right now, trying to trade for product and stuff is next to impossible. The groups have the benefit of the groups; they can trade amongst themselves. Goes back to my original statement about your contacts and your friends in the business.
So, Rob, what's your opinion on the Ford? I mean, you guys got a lot of very popular product coming down the pike. I mean, what is Ford saying about all that?
About what specifically?
I mean, they've got the new Bronco coming out. They've got the new electric. They've got all these new products coming out. What are you hearing from customers from the manufacturer? I'm just curious.
I think that we're experiencing the same challenges as you are. I'm in the Philadelphia region, and in the region we sold 4,600 cars in August, and then for September we were allocated 2,400. We're in a situation where, going forward, new car businesses, even if people want the Bronco, it's going to be tight on inventory for a while. And we've got to be proactive to figure out what we're going to do to offset that.
So do you feel like having a competitive used product, like let's say a Jeep product or another product, would help you there? I mean, what is the strategies you're considering?
This is a used car discussion, so I'll go back to used cars. I think that's where it's at. I think as a dealership, if you have a strong used car operation, you can have a strong dealership. And if you don't, you're going to lean too heavy into other departments.
And does Ford have a certified program in the U.S. for certified used cars?
They do. It's not mandatory.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly. There was a brief discussion here on certification.
Okay.
We do not Ford certify our vehicles, but we follow a very similar process. Without saying too much as well. We sell their new vehicles, and we sell our used vehicles.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Was there any other questions for the panel from anybody? We're almost out of time. So
I have a question for Rob. So Rob, because you guys are doing the used cars, and that's the topic of today, and over the past couple of months, you had that situation where it came for online shopping or online buying. Have you seen traction with online buying for your used cars? You have.
Absolutely.
And are the customers taking it from A to Z?
Yes. We during COVID we sold I think when we were shut down for a month, we sold over 100 vehicles just when the customer wasn't even at the dealership. Okay. Since then, we've kind of taken more of a proactive approach to be more transparent with the customer once they reach out to us, once we have engagement on actually starting the needs assessment, starting the sales process before the customer gets to the store. We're doing credit applications, we're doing trade evaluations. We try to have all that done so when you had mentioned customer experience, so when they come to the dealership, it is, we can have them in and out in 30 minutes or less.
Wonderful.
So we are really just, that's on the dealership. I think, we're taking a very proactive approach to, have that customer ready. So when they come in, a test drive, make sure the vehicle is how it was described. We look at their vehicle, do the same thing, but everything else is already negotiated, completed, and it's just in and out. And it's a beautiful thing when it happens that way.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think the definition of online buying is not so much the transaction, but more the engagement and the dialogue between the dealership or the sales associate and the customer. And so, I think if that dialogue can consist of some level of transparency and comfortness between a sales associate or the dealership and the customer, then I can see the transaction going from A to Z. I think the problem is the definition of online buying is you have no one to talk to and you're just clicking on everything and all of a sudden this car appears from nowhere, and that's not the case.
That's where I think that we have the advantage over the large corporations, the Carvanas, the Vrooms, because we actually care about our customers. We're in the communities. They trust us already. So when we can actually give them that online experience, which is really what it is, the transaction is going to have to be completed somewhere else. Okay. But when we can give them that and give them the tools and be transparent, I think we win. And I think that we have a competitive advantage against those larger corporations.
Good on you. Congrats. Nice.
100%. So I got a couple more slides, but thanks to everybody. Lots of great content. Just so you know, the next week's show is going to be F&I. We're going to have three great speakers: Hector, who's on the call today, Bruce Bennett from Drive Financial, and Greg Cookson, who has a lot of experience both with big groups in Canada and the US, and also working with companies like Safeguard and others, work for AutoNation, really talking about how to maximize F&I. So don't miss that show. It should be very interesting, talking about what's going on in the F&I office today. And as we grow the Auto Hub show, our short-term goal for 2020 is to cover 100% of our minimal costs. So we are looking for show sponsors. And just for the people on the call who have spoken and want to be on Vendor Speak, we will be charging something small for that as we go into November. Upcoming shows: F&I tactics and training, reboarding and restaffing in 2020, service drive training. We're doing a frontline roundtable for fixed ops, for variable ops, training seminars and promotions, omni-channel communication, platforms and technology, the good, the bad, and the ugly, data and results on digital retail. So if you're debating digital retail, debating it, we will have some speakers on that and more. It's all on the website. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to Jeff or myself. Any final thoughts, Jeff?
Well, just want to touch base again on Vendor Speak. Coming up this Friday is Amanda Truth, promoting her Sit Now video, and we'll learn more about that. Frankly, I don't know enough about it, so I'm quite excited. And our friend Barry, who's on the line here, is going to be joining us from White Glove Marketing on the 18th. And somebody that Ian knows kind of well, Jason Silverberg from NABBAT, and the website platforms on that. And I just wanted to say thank you, everybody. This was a great show. Dave, as if you're new to us, Rob certainly definitely are. And it's interesting every time we do these to find out how the border between Canada and the States is really just a line that right now nobody can cross, but business is the same. And final thing I wanted to say to you, Rob, was I went through your website and I was very impressed with just the statement of your new online process. So many dealers actually put it on, can come in during COVID, we'll do this for you. You actually have a process, which really I think was very impressive.
Thank you.
So, and
Any
from that,
final thoughts from the panel? Don't all speak at once.
Hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It was great information you guys shared.
Yeah, thank you for being a guest. We really appreciate it.
And thanks very much for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for everything. Appreciate it.
Thanks for your insights, gentlemen.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having us. It was it's always enlightening to talk to other people. Sometimes you feel you're running in the wind on your own, and it's nice to know other guys are up against the same hurdles.
Absolutely.
for sure.
And the recording will be online shortly, and I'll feel free to share the link. Any other questions, let me know. And I appreciate the time and all the insight. Really, really helpful.
And be well, be safe, and have a great week.
You too.
Oh,
Take care.
You and thanks to all of our loyal listeners. Jim, no Corvette. I'm very upset. John, thank you. Pamela, great to have you. George, good questions. Hector, thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good to see you, Dave.
and you too, Jeff. Take care. Cheers.
You all the best.